Yo, welcome back to the channel. Kamusta sa inyong lahat? Whimpering Wastes, a game mode that was supposed to be a thrilling test of skill, a fun challenge that rewarded mastery of the game's mechanics, but instead, what did we get? Pain, suffering, absolute despair. For the first time in this game's history, the entire player base actually agreed on something. This reset is bad, and I mean really bad. You know, something went horribly wrong when content creators who will brave high difficulty content for views couldn't sugarcoat it anymore. They acknowledged that there is a major issue with the difficulty, with others even going so far as to not wanting to play it ever again. So, what exactly happened? Well, Kuro decided to crank the difficulty up to 11, remove helpful mechanics, and throw in some of the most obnoxious enemies possible. If you thought that the last reset was bad, this one came in, laughed at your pain, and made it even worse. And that's the thing, there's a difference between difficult and just simply annoying. The old Whimpering Wastes was difficult. This one, it's just a straight up endurance test of patience and friggin' suffering. Now, in any other game, this is where the story would end. Players suffer, developers stay silent, and we all just have to cope. Maybe, just maybe after a month of outrage, we'd get a vague promise of looking into it, with zero actual follow-up. But Kuro isn't like other game devs. While other companies would take months to acknowledge feedback, Kuro took hours, literally hours. The update had barely gone live when Kuro dropped an official statement saying, "We acknowledge player feedback regarding the unsatisfactory gameplay experience in certain Whimpering Waste stages. Adjustments will be implemented in version 2.2. Translation? Oops, we messed up. We're fixing it. Please don't leave us. We swear it'll be better next patch. Trust us." And then the cherry on top? Compensation. 80 whole Asterites. That's right. A staggering amount that will let you check your email and immediately close it in, I guess, disappointment. If generosity were an art, this would be a stick figure drawn with a crayon. But hey, it's the thought that counts, right? But jokes aside, the speed at which they responded is actually insane. Compare this to other gacha games where devs will gaslight their community for weeks before finally admitting there's an issue. Kuro just saw the riots, nodded, and immediately hit the fix this button. That's impressive, either because they genuinely care or because they feared losing players faster than a limited banner drains wallets. Either way, we'll take 80 Asterites anytime. Thank you so much. Now, here's where things get interesting. Kuro promised that the mode will be fixed in version 2.2, which is coming soon. And for those who are keeping track, this is gonna be on March 27th. That's great and all, but let's be real. People are suffering now. Why wait for a major update when they could just hotfix the mode right now? Seriously, it's like watching a building burn down while the fire department says, "Don't worry, we'll bring water next week." The biggest complaint isn't even just the difficulty. It's that the game mode isn't fun. Whimpering Waste is supposed to be a high-stakes challenge, but instead it feels like fighting through an army of mosquitoes. Nobody logs in thinking, "Wow, I can't wait to fight 100 tiny enemies that scatter in 20 different directions and make my life miserable." It's like trying to swat flies with a chopstick. Pointless, annoying, and exhausting. People want big, satisfying fights, not an exercise in frustration that makes them question their life choices. Maybe the fix in 2.2 will be the best thing ever. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just be a glorified placebo. But one thing's for sure, Kuro has set a precedent now. They've shown that they listen, that they care about feedback, and that they respond fast. That's something we can't say about a lot of other developers who would rather release a 10-paragraph excuse than a single meaningful patch. At the end of the day, this whole situation is a roller coaster. The Whimpering Wastes reset was an absolute mess, a disaster. Players hated it, content creators were in shambles, and yet, in just a few hours, Kuro had already acknowledged the problem, promised the fix, and thrown out some compensation. The real test will be whether they actually fix it in 2.2, or if we're just going to end up with an adjustment that's about as effective as putting a band-aid on a broken bone. But regardless, the fact that they even responded this fast is honestly impressive. Now, let's be honest. 80 Asterites isn't exactly life-changing, but the fact that they immediately took action, that is game-changing. While other devs would just ignore the problem and hope it goes away, Kuro actually listens. And that's why, despite all of the suffering, despite all the pain, despite the sheer agony of this game mode, I still have hope. And this is what we love about Kuro. Unlike other games that would let their community scream into the void for weeks, Kuro actually acknowledged the uproar in record time. No gaslighting, no "we hear you" corporate fluff, just straight up action. It's almost unsettling how fast they move. Did they already know this mode was a disaster and have the apology drafted in advance? Waiting for that inevitable fallout. Maybe, but you know what? At least they did something. Other devs would have just dropped an FAQ full of nonsense pretending we're all just playing it wrong, while subtly gaslighting the player base into believing frustration equals fun. Instead, Kuro took the L, admitted fault, and hit the emergency eject button before things spiraled out of control. That's rare, almost suspiciously rare. But hey, we'll take what we can get. So, what do you guys think? Is Kuro actually built different? Or is this just an expertly timed PR maneuver? Are we witnessing a genuine commitment to player experience? Or is this just the gaming industry equivalent of tossing a dog a treat and hoping it stops barking? Did you suffer through the Whimpering Wastes to reset? Or did you somehow brute force your way through it with sheer willpower and possibly some regrettable life choices? Let me know in the comments, because misery loves company. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe for more Wuthering Waves content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Maraming salamat po, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.